Let's talk about the furry comic Order of the Black Dog. Standing at a monolithic 800 plus pages plus cover art for each individual chapter, it is exemplary in the topics of cryptozoology, Lovecraftian horror, and excellent, confusing plot structure. And I can already hear you saying, a furry horror comic as? Come on. There's like one guy doing really good comic horror right now. When was the last time we had furry horror? And to that I say, depends on how old and well read you are. So, what's this comic about? I suppose the short answer would be God. This is God. To the scientists in Cairo, Egypt, studying it in the year 2037, its code name is EA55A. To the local college students that unearthed it from its hiding place, it's called the Black Idol. To the cultists they find in their history books that worshipped it in the 1900s, it's a nameless entity. To the sheriff slash cowboy and his companions that unearthed it in North America in the 1850s, it's called the Black Star. And on back and on back and on back through recorded history, changing hands and names and locations, this is the center of the comic's story. But what is it really? The scientists want to classify it as a fossil at first, as looking at it on a microscopic level reveals that it has a makeup that's similar to muscle fibers. But it's so hard and lifeless that it must be dead and dried up, right? Wrong. EA55 is being held inert by a silvery shard of something. It's not really clear. Whenever this element is present, it coils up in one shape and stays that way, as though it's been put into stasis. But take the shard away, and, well, you can guess. EA55 is a mass of black ooze, muscle, teeth, and eyes. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and it has no brain or nervous system. It only exists to consume. It indiscriminately kills and takes on organic matter, adding to its own mass in the process whenever it's able. It is immune to extreme heat, extreme cold, extreme pressure, and the vacuum of space. It is, in a word, almost immortal. Even if you try to destroy it, leaving even a tiny piece is enough for it to regrow itself and carry on with what it was doing. Kind of comparable to cancer, really. It can cause psychic hallucinations of deceased loved ones, sexual desires and fantasies, whatever it thinks will bring you close enough for consumption. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't stop, and even with the silvery shard present to stop it, all it has to do is wait you out until some poor bastard takes it away again. It is the perfect Lovecraftian horror. The Order of the Black Dog follows not only EA55, but a number of other gods, monsters, and other horrific things that'll make your skin crawl, or even fill you with a nihilistic sense of melancholy. We follow main characters Julia and Melissa as they muddle their way through unknown forces and secret government organizations trying to keep them out of the public eye. The comic is set in an alternate history Earth where Egypt's royal dynasty survived to the present day and the country became a serious world power. The current pharaoh is just as important as the Chinese emperor or the American president or the British parliament. What began as snooping around behind the chained-up doors of a damaged college library quickly spirals out of control into a world of cryptids, government agents, and eventually EA-55 itself. I'm not gonna lie, I had some troubles reading this one. Nihilism is not a subject I'm good with, and the fact that the comic jumps time periods constantly can be kind of confusing. I made over 10 pages of notes on this one, and most of it was just what happened in what year that the comic was trying to tell me about. Where EA55 is, who has it, and where it's being kept or hidden is a big chunk of the comic's main plotline. There are a number of smaller anthology stories about various monsters and legends, but it all ties back to the big one in some form or another. The writing is excellent and easily comparable to Lovecraft's style, someone coming in after someone else has died, reading or discovering what happened to them, and tangling with whatever supernatural force that now has them in their crosshairs. The formula is excellent because it works. This is not a read during your lunch break sort of comic. This is a sit down with pen and paper because boy howdy it's gonna get complicated. The sheer number of names, locations, and especially dates can be pretty staggering, especially when the characters spout exposition and history to one another that you really do need to know to fully grasp the story. I'm not joking. Take notes anytime you see the comic name a year, because you're gonna lose track of who was doing what and when, eventually. 800 pages is a lot of space to lose your way in, so just take my word for it. The further into the comic I read, the more entangled I became in its complex plot, damaged and believable characters, cloak and dagger politics, and behind the curtain higher entities I couldn't even begin to understand. And I don't just mean monsters that are out to get you because you did a magic ritual that allows you to see everything for what it truly is. I mean literal gods that are waiting to consume you the moment you die, because that is what they do. They watch you be born, they watch you live, and they're waiting to harvest you in the final moments of your life. The truth of things on a macro scale in this comic would break your heart, so I won't say it here. Spoiler. Order of the Black Dog is not a pleasant read, but it is an interesting read. I don't think I've felt this way since I read Jack way back in the day. The sheer spectacle of gods and monsters is really exciting to see, but the nihilistic glee the comic seems to take in telling me that no one matters and we're all gonna die sort of puts a damper on it. I won't go into detail because that would be a spoiler. Steel your heart, though. Even the budding romance between Julia and Melissa takes a complete back seat and is often just swept under the rug because we have more horrors to show you first. While seeing them go from friends to lovers is a wonderful thing to see, it's basically an afterthought in the grand scheme of things, and we get no embellishments about their relationship. Which, narratively speaking, is kinda sad because sometimes the comic is laying on the horror so thick it forgets to stop for a few moments and let the reader breathe with something as simple and happy as a sex scene or some random nudity. No fan service for you. More scary things. It's it's hard to talk about this comic at all without spoiling something, since it's told completely out of order. Again, anytime you see a year, write it down. 1 minute you'll be in the 1850s with a sheriff looking for missing people. Then you'll be in 2037 studying the Black Idol. Then you'll be in the 1920s chasing cryptids. It swirls and overlaps itself across all the storylines and decades that it takes place in. The only constant at the end of it all is God. So, should you read Order of the Black Dog? I'd say yes. Just Understand what you're getting into. This is serious Lovecraftian writing that is very difficult to untangle and make sense of if you're not paying very close attention. Bring a pen and paper. Remember to think of your happy place. It's gonna be a dark ride. I say, check it out.